Tricky question for you. When was the first time a toilet flush was heard on network TV? I'll give you a clue. It was from the days when our old LaSalle ran great, but I want you to stifle the urge to Google it. But if you can guess, for real, put your answers in the comments, and maybe you can figure it out from the clues that I just gave you. And I'll tell you, this is not the second time a flush was heard on television. So, I hope you can tell that I wasn't really going to the bathroom, which is why I'm not going to wash my hands too, enough of the plumbing. Welcome to Living Figuratively. This is the show with your host, Judy Takács. This is the show that asks the question, why not fill your home with the fascinating faces and figures of people that you don't even know? Why not fill your home with figurative art? Each week I'll be spotlighting work of my own or work from my collection, hopefully to inspire you to love figurative art and figure out how you are going to live with it. Last week we started a 3-part episode called Bed, Bath, and Beyond. This week, and last week I took you to the master bedroom. This week, I am taking you to the master bathroom. So welcome. And as expected, the master bathroom is chock full of figurative art. But I'm going to give you a little caveat and a little tip. You don't want to be putting figurative art or art of any kind in your bathroom that it has paper, or that is behind glass, or that requires a mat. All of those things can get very moistury and moldy and ripply, and condensation collecting behind the glass. All of those things can happen with all art that might be in the bathroom. But you can put works on oil on board, like what I have here right now. This is a gesture painting, a quick alla prima gesture study that has been in this bathroom for 10 years since we built it, and it is every bit as good as it was when I first put it up. It stays very nice. It doesn't get ripply because it's a nice thick board. So, welcome to my bathroom. I wanted to basically, I'm going to introduce you a little bit to what the bathroom looks like and what we were thinking when we built it. Since we built our house, we picked all kinds of hot, warm, and red colors for the rest of the house, but in the bed and the bath, because it's kind of a calm place, I picked the cools and the grays and more the subdued colors. In the bathroom especially, I stuck to the palette of white trim, and this nice pale, I think it's called elephant gray, is the wall color. And I wanted to give it the feel of a 1920s luxury New York hotel. We were doing some traveling at the time and staying in some old hotels, and I was just really inspired by those sort of classic iconic looks. We did some crazy things like this right here. I'm going to show you. Built in, these are piano legs that we built in to kind of make a nod to the clawfoot bathtub, which I did not want to have a clawfoot bathtub because those are a nightmare and the dirt collects underneath them. I wanted just a plain old regular tub. But so we did things like that with this dark emperador marble, which I loved that. It took me a long time to pick the right kind. And one of the jewel of this room is this gorgeous 1920, maybe earlier, turn of the century vintage light fixture that we put up there. I housed it in a ceiling medallion. Are you getting the ceiling medallion on there? Which did not come with it, but we ordered that separately. And my advice with ceiling medallions is once you figure out that you can order ceiling medallions off the internet and how awesome they look, it's like you're going to want to put them on every single one of your light fixtures. You do have to remove the light fixture and put up the ceiling medallion and then reinstall the light fixture. So, it's a good thing to do when you're replacing your light fixtures. But that is kind of the jewel of the bathroom. So in keeping with that, I wanted to keep the art with the same theme. So I basically did things that had more of a monochromatic palette, calligraphic black lines, which kind of go along with the gray and the brown and the subdued stuff. And one of the things I said before is like, ooh, works on paper. These are works on paper. These are gesture drawings that were drawn on paper. So how is it that I have them in the bathroom? Well, I have magically sealed them. Basically what I do is I pick the gesture drawings that I like the best and magically seal them to a board, and then maybe do oil painting over them as sort of a work in progress until it works. For those of you that don't know what a gesture drawing is, let me explain a little bit about that. In the figurative art world, where people are learning to draw people and paint people, one of the cornerstones of the figurative art world is the gesture drawing. You have a life drawing group where you'll have a group of artists gathered around a model in the center, sometimes two models, depending on how big the class is. And as sort of warm-ups to kick off the whole thing, the model will do gestures, which means essentially that they'll take like a 30-second to maybe a maximum 5-minute pose of something kind of dynamic, like this, or like this. Or, you know, sometimes it's even on one leg, or leaning against a wall, or doing something dynamic and dramatic, which they can only hold for about maybe 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds. And the really good models will actually treat it kind of like a dance, because they'll sort of intuitively know what the next good gesture will be. So they might do a dynamic pose, hold it for 60 seconds, and then move into the next pose. Hold that for 60 seconds, and move into the next pose. Hold that for 60 seconds. And so that's why this particular little gesture conglomeration is called Before the Dance. And it's kind of a nod to the fact that good gesture drawings really are kind of a dance of beautiful gestures that can be drawn, and artists just love them. Like, it's very fun. It's sort of a fun warm up. It's low stakes because that drawing is going to happen in 60 seconds, and then and then it's over. So this particular beauty found a place in my bathroom, and it's awesome. Now, before we head into the loo, we're going to head back into the loo. Before we do that, I'm going to answer a couple of viewer questions from last week. A couple weeks ago, Susie from Ohio had asked, do I ever use any of my props that I use in my curated clutter displays? Do I ever use any of them as in my paintings? And my knee-jerk reaction was, yeah, of course, they're all over the place, all my props. And I started looking around my house at all my curated clutter places, and I couldn't find a single thing that I had used in a painting at any point. Until I came into the bathroom and I remembered these Christmas balls. These are silver Christmas balls that they never have seen the tree. They were basically bought as sort of Christmassy accessories, and I used them, or my model used them for, this is the painting Hillary Emerges from my Chips with Balls collection, and she chose the Christmas balls to pose with. She posed actually the day after Christmas, and she chose Christmas balls to pose with as a tribute to her Christian faith. And so that is the one example where I use props. So Susie from Ohio, that was the example. And this Chicks with Balls book is available on my website, along with, this is the book number 2, this is book number 1. They're both at my online shop. Second viewer question. Okay, last week, I don't know how many of you remember the shaky charm bracelet intro where I was putting the final card onto the card house. Some people asked, and only one person got it, aside from my sister, who already figured it out before I even, when I even started telling her about it, what the reference was. Basically, the charm bracelet card house reference was a Brady Bunch reference. There was an episode of Brady Bunch way back when the boys versus the girls had to settle something. They had to settle an issue of how to use the trading stamps, because I don't know how many of you remember trading stamps back in the day where you'd go to buy something at Sears, they'd give you trading stamps, you'd stick them into a book, you'd collect these books, each book was worth $5, you'd collect 10 of those books, you'd have $50 to spend at Sears, you'd take it back and you'd find something. And it took a really long time to collect these. Anyway, in the Brady Bunch, they had a whole bunch of these trading stamps and they wanted to use them all for one thing or another. The girls wanted the sewing machine, the boys wanted the sailboat, I can't even remember what it was. They built a card house to try to sell it. And for some reason, when, it would be that, like, if the girl put the card on and the card house got knocked down, then the boys would get the money and vice versa. For some reason, Marsha Brady decided to wear a charm bracelet for the card house building. That really didn't make sense, but she did. And so the tension built, and ooh, it was very, very exciting when she was shaking and she couldn't get the card on it. If you want to find out how it all turned out, because you are probably in huge suspense right now, if you want to find out how it all turned out, I have put a little video clip of it that I found on YouTube on my website under the Living Figuratively category in my online shop. So you can go and watch it. It's a homemade video, not something that I did, but they filmed it on an old TV, and there's a couple weird things in there. But if you want to watch it, it's like just 5 minutes, and you can see the whole thing play out. All right, now we're going to go back to the Louvre, or as I'm going to start calling it, the Bathroom Louvre. Get it? All right, so before you were focused on me on the toilet, this time we're going to be looking at the art that I actually keep in here, which this wall, I definitely wanted to paint this nice charcoal dark gray. It would be kind of too much for the whole bathroom, but I love this little charcoal dark. It's kind of an atelier gray. Sadie Valeri's atelier has like a really nice deep dark color, and I think Anthony Wachulis is. So it's a really nice dark, medium dark charcoal-y kind of a gray. The three works that I have in here are all framed in black, and it's actually an identical frame too. That just kind of worked out. These two right here are also gesture drawings that I have magically sealed onto board. And I've put these together. These are, I love the calligraphic quality of them. They are also from my series called Mathematical Figures, where I put in little pastings of my dad's mathematical writings, little equations that looked interesting. I have no idea what they mean, but they just kind of looked interesting. So I put those in there with these mathematical figures, and I've given them sort of mathematical little names. Like this one is She's Calculating, and this one is, oh shoot, I couldn't remember it last time, and now I can't remember it again. Oh, it's like Academic Standing or something like that. I can't remember now, but I just sort of make up these names because they're mathematical, and it sort of embraces the love of math, love of the human form. I'm going to finish up with this little beauty right here, which is a alla prima gesture painting that probably was about a 2-hour pose, and for me, it has the quality that alla prima, that I always strive for with an alla prima quick gesture painting, where it says exactly what it needs to say without saying one single thing more. If I recall, I probably spent the first hour painting it, and I spent the second hour of the pose trying to not screw it up. More looking, less painting. And a couple weeks ago, you may remember when I said the thing about, the answer to how long did it take you is always a lifetime. This kind of thing proves that, because I've done many of these. Many of them do not turn out this well. But this one, it kind of reached its beautiful trajectory, and then I didn't continue to work on it. So I like quit while I was ahead. It's a little bit like the stock market, where you want to buy when it's low, and then when it gets to the high point, that's when you want to sell. And in the case of a painting, that's when you want to stop. If you keep on working on it, and you're basically just trying to recover your losses, which is not a very good feeling in the stock market or when you're painting something. But this one, I named it Resolve because she just had this really strong pose. She was, you know, very smart, and you know, it had the yin and the yang with the dark and the light behind it, and it really just worked beautifully in this room. And she's also available on my online shop. So let's come out of the bathroom. So thank you all for joining me for Living Figuratively, and as always, any sales that are made from the work that I present during these Corona times, I am going to pay forward 50% of the profits into the struggling art community. Next week, join me for the third installment of Bed, Bath, and Beyond, because next week we're going to be doing the Beyond, which I'm going to give you a clue. I'm not going to tell you what the Beyond is, but I'm going to give you a clue. It's a Brady Bunch related clue. Basically, it's the room where Bobby Brady used too much detergent to wash his good suit, and all kinds of problems happen. All right, I'll see you next week, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Thursday night, for Living Figuratively. Same bad time, same bad channel. Y'all come back now, you hear?